Some days we wake up, but we don't actually awaken. The body gets up, goes through the same familiar motions, but something inside us stays behind, as if one part of us is just going through the motions, fulfilling expectations, while another stands at a distance, watching it all unfold without truly feeling part of anything. And perhaps the most unsettling thing about all of this is, it can seem normal. It can feel like routine, just another ordinary day, when in truth, it's a silent call from the soul, asking for presence, asking for awareness. Maybe you didn't even notice. Maybe today looked just like every other. You turned off the alarm, checked your phone, placed your feet on the floor, and kept going. But inside, there was an emptiness, a quiet space waiting to be inhabited. That's what waking up on autopilot feels like, continuing to exist on the outside, while something within slowly drifts away, little by little, without noise, without obvious pain, just a soft disconnection from yourself, a subtle misalignment between what you live and what you feel. And this disconnection doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up in the fatigue that never fades, in the irritation over small things, in the struggle to feel joy in simple moments, in the constant urge to escape, even when you can't explain what from, because the body is there, but the soul isn't. And life, no matter how busy or full of tasks, starts to lose its meaning. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, where is my awareness when the day begins? Have you realized how many times you wake without truly arriving? How many mornings begin without even a second of true presence? This is where the soul starts to suffer, not from a lack of love, but from too much absence. Because every soul needs to be seen, felt, and heard. And living on autopilot is the exact opposite of that. Life doesn't just want you to function. It wants you to be present, aware, whole. It doesn't matter what the world expects from you. What matters is what you offer yourself the moment you open your eyes. One day lived with presence is worth infinitely more than a week spent in survival mode. And still, how often do we forget? What is this morning trying to show you? What's asking for your attention before you even get out of bed? Is there something inside you that hasn't been acknowledged? A feeling hidden deep within, begging to be felt, understood, embraced. Because until you listen, it will keep pulling you back into the autopilot, into repetition, into the void. But today can be different, because the simple act of noticing is already a turning point. The simple gesture of asking yourself sincerely is the first step toward returning to yourself, returning to life, breaking free from this quiet cycle of inner sleep. Waking up is biological, awakening is spiritual, and life, the life that is calling you now, doesn't just want you to wake up. It wants you to awaken. It's not enough to open your eyes. It's not enough to get up, get dressed, and follow the routine. Because there's a vast difference between being awake and being awakened. And you can feel that difference in your body, in the thoughts that loop endlessly, in the heart that seems to walk alone, in time that passes too fast and yet feels colorless, empty, without presence or depth. Waking up with awareness is more than just a beautiful ritual. It's a silent invitation to be fully present in the moment where everything begins. Because it's in that first breath of morning, in that delicate space between sleep and wakefulness, that you choose whether you'll live as someone who feels or someone who merely repeats. Maybe you're tired. That's okay. Tiredness doesn't make you less worthy of your own presence. Maybe you're feeling distant, confused, or hollow. That's okay too. Awareness doesn't demand perfection. It only asks that you don't abandon yourself again. Waking up with awareness is often an invisible gesture. It's closing your eyes for a few more seconds before you rise. It's feeling your breath fully. It's placing your feet on the ground with intention. It's asking yourself deeper questions before the outside noise takes over. It's giving space for your soul to arrive alongside your body. And yes, there will be days when this feels impossible. Days when autopilot seems easier, more comfortable, quieter. But it's on those very days that awareness becomes most essential. Because the more you drift away from yourself, the more distant life begins to feel. Waking up with awareness is remembering from the very start that your existence is no accident, that your presence holds meaning, that the way you begin your day shapes not only your actions, but also the energy you emit, the frequency you activate, the reality you attract. It's not about controlling everything, not about solving life before breakfast. It's about being there, fully, even if only for a moment, even with tears in your eyes, even without answers. Waking with awareness is creating a space within for the truth to arise. And when it does, the day becomes sacred. Not because it's perfect, but because you're in it, whole, awake, real, present. Life is always speaking. It whispers through subtle signs, unexpected encounters, and sensations that arise without explanation. But in order to hear it, you must be here. Not in the past that wounded you, not in the future that hasn't yet arrived. Here, in the now, because now is the only place the soul can truly breathe. And that's exactly why living on autopilot takes such a toll. It steals your ability to listen. It steals your real-time experience. It steals the chance to notice what life is offering you. Because life doesn't shout, it doesn't force its way in, it gently invites. And only those who are awake can say yes to that invitation. Have you noticed how everything seems to slip away when you're not present? The words that went unheard, the glances that passed unnoticed, the beauty that was missed, the intuition that was ignored, the truth that tried to reach you but found a closed door, because awareness is the key that opens those doors. And without it, we keep collecting days. Without truly living them, presence changes everything. It transforms even the smallest moments. A sip of water becomes sacred when taken with intention. A touch can heal when offered with presence. A shared silence can comfort when filled with truth. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when infused with consciousness. But first, we must break the habit of haste, the kind of rush that tramples the soul, the kind that makes you swallow your coffee without tasting it, shower without feeling the water, talk without truly listening, live without really being alive. Because absence has become so normalized that most people don't even notice it anymore. But the soul does, and it quietly suffers when it's ignored. Life responds to those who fully surrender to the moment, and it doesn't matter if the moment is messy, unclear, or painful. The response comes, not because everything is perfect, but because someone is there, fully present, willing to live what is, willing to listen, willing to feel. And sometimes, presence is all life needs in order to move, to reorganize, to open new paths. Because when you are present, you align. And when you align, the universe responds with more clarity, with more synchronicity, with more truth. So even when the world pulls you toward distraction, choose to return. Even when the day feels heavy, choose to be. Because only those who are truly present, truly live. And life is waiting for exactly that, your presence. Not perfect, not complete, just real, just alive. We live in a world that never slows down, where the worth of a day is often measured by how much you manage to accomplish, where silence feels unsettling, and where stillness is almost unbearable. But the soul doesn't move at that pace. It doesn't thrive on checklists, notifications, or urgency. The soul is nourished by presence, by inner space, by time that is breathed with intention. And maybe that's why so many people are falling ill without understanding why. Because they're racing on the outside, but abandoned on the inside. They feel productive, but not alive. Connected to everything, yet completely disconnected from themselves. The soul cannot survive in a life lived solely for the future. It needs to be felt now. It needs to be heard without hurry, without filters, without performance. Haste is not compatible with the sacred. The sacred asks for surrender. It asks for listening. It asks that you show up fully to the moment you're living, not for the sake of performance, but for the truth of the experience. Because what transforms your life is not how fast you get there, but how you walk the path. It's the consciousness you bring to each step. How many times have you felt completely drained without having done anything that truly mattered? How many nights have you laid your head down with the feeling that the day passed by, but you didn't live through it? That's what happens when life becomes a string of sequences, when every gesture is just a repetition of the one before, when the poetry of the present moment is lost, when everything is done just to get it over with, instead of to be lived. But the soul is in no rush. It wants you to hear the sound of the water, to feel the weight of your body grounding to the earth, to notice the rhythm of your breath, to look up at the sky as if seeing it for the very first time. The soul longs to be with you here, now, because it's only now that healing begins, only now that truth reveals itself, only now that you remember who you really are. And no, it's not easy, because we've been trained to run, to produce, to avoid the discomfort that presence can bring. But you're not here to be a machine. You're here to be whole, to live with meaning. And meaning isn't found in the rush. It's found in the pause. It's found in the feeling. It's found in your return to the body, to the heart, to the present moment. The soul only blooms where there is space. And that space begins to open the moment you gently say, I don't need to rush. I just need to be. And in that being, everything shifts. Because life doesn't need your speed. It needs your presence. And when presence takes root, even the simplest moment becomes sacred. Not everything needs to be understood right away. Not every question needs words. There are moments when the soul isn't seeking explanation. It's longing for presence, for space, for silence. And that silence, so often avoided, so quickly filled with noise, tasks, and stimulation, might be exactly what you need most right now. We live immersed in noise, constant sounds, buzzing alerts, overlapping thoughts, a frantic rush to fill the emptiness with anything, even if that anything holds no meaning at all. But emptiness isn't the enemy. It's a portal, and silence is the key. In silence, the soul speaks the loudest, not in sentences, but in sensation, in intuition, in the subtle knowing that bypasses the mind and moves through the body, in the chill that rises without explanation, in the sigh that eases a pain you didn't even realize was there, in the tear that slips out quietly but with undeniable truth. The beauty of silence is that it never demands. It simply waits. It waits for you to stop running, to lower the volume of expectation, to sit with yourself, not to fix, not to analyze, not to solve, but just to be, to allow, to exist in peace, even if just for a moment. At first, silence can feel unsettling because it reveals what's been left behind, what's been buried beneath productivity, what still hurts, even after all this time. But if you have the courage to stay, silence also shows the way. It reveals lightness. It reminds you that something greater is holding you, even when you can't see it. And in that quiet space, something sacred happens. A kind of healing that doesn't come through striving, but through surrender. A softening of the soul. A return to home. Because sometimes what you need most to find your way back is to stop searching. To remember that not knowing can be a sacred state. That emptiness can be fertile. That silence can be love. So if today you have no answers, that's okay. If you feel unclear, that's okay. If all you can do is sit in stillness, that's okay. Because silence that welcomes also transforms. And even if the world doesn't understand, your soul does. And that's what truly matters. So often, we wait for something grand, a sign, a miracle, a clear turning point to lift the weight, to carry us into a life that feels lighter, fuller, more ours. But awakening rarely arrives in clarity. It doesn't shout. It doesn't change everything at once. Awakening is a quiet choice, made in the backstage of the soul, where almost no one can see. To awaken is to decide, even in exhaustion, even in fear, even without knowing exactly how, to stop abandoning yourself. It's that moment in the midst of chaos when you find a breath of presence and say, I'm here. I want to be here. I choose to be here. Not because everything is fixed, but because you no longer want to live disconnected from who you are. And this decision doesn't require perfect timing. It doesn't need a beautiful backdrop. It doesn't wait for calm or clarity. Awakening begins in the middle of the mess, in the middle of routine, in the middle of weariness. Sometimes it starts with a single conscious breath, with an honest look inward, with one heartfelt question. It begins small, it begins simple, but it begins. And from that moment, everything shifts. Not dramatically, but deeply. Like roots spreading quietly beneath the surface, supporting something not yet visible, but already growing. That's what awakening is. An inner birth. A realignment with truth. A return to what you've always been, but may have forgotten in the noise. Don't wait to feel ready. Desire is fleeting. Spirituality doesn't rely on mood. It's anchored in decision. And once the decision is made, even without motivation, something inside you responds. A subtle strength awakens. A quiet courage rises. A single thread of light cuts through the fog and reaches your heart. And that is enough. You don't have to change everything today. You don't need all the answers. But you can choose to stop ignoring the signs. You can choose to listen more deeply. You can gently return to the center of your own life. Because awakening isn't a magic that happens from the outside in. It's an intimate choice, a surrender, an opening, and it begins now. In the exact moment you say, I choose to awaken. I choose to live with awareness. I choose to come home to myself. The present moment is the only place life truly happens. All you have is this instant, not the past, which is gone and cannot be changed, not the future, which hasn't yet arrived and may never unfold the way you imagined. Only now. Only this moment is real. Only here lies the power to transform. Only here can you truly awaken, feel, live. And yet, this is the very place most people avoid. Because now demands surrender. It asks you to listen. It calls for the courage to be fully present with what is, even when what is feels uncomfortable, confusing, imperfect. That's why so many remain projected outward, numb, distracted, always chasing what's next, as if what is could never be enough. But the now doesn't wait for you. It moves on, and every time you ignore it, a piece of life slips away. A gesture of love you didn't see, an intuition you didn't hear, a moment of healing you postponed. The soul doesn't live in later. It blooms in the instant, and every time you breathe with presence, you come into alignment. Every time you truly see, truly feel, truly give thanks, you activate a frequency that changes everything. Not out there, but within. Because it's not what happens to you that determines your vibration. It's how present you are with what happens. Now might feel difficult. It might be silent. It might not offer answers. But it holds the seeds of everything you long to become. Those seeds won't sprout in your absence. They need your presence, your yes, your surrender. It's in the now that life whispers its direction, that the soul sends signs, that the body reveals truth, that the heart speaks what's been silent for too long. And when you say, I am here, and mean it, everything begins to respond. Clarity doesn't come before presence, it emerges from it. So even if your mind tries to pull you into what's already gone or what hasn't yet arrived, choose to return. Return now. To your breath, to the weight of your body grounded where you sit, to the sounds around you, to the beat of your heart. Return to this moment, because this is where you truly exist, and only from here can you change what comes next. Now is your starting point, and it's already happening. Today is a new beginning. You don't need a new place, a new job, a new person. Sometimes what you need is a new way of being present. A new way of showing up in the same life, but with more attention, less distraction, and a deeper connection to now. Because when you change the way you inhabit the moment, even the ordinary becomes extraordinary. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter how many mornings were wasted on autopilot. What matters is what you choose to do with this moment, this living, breathing, silent opportunity in front of you, this moment that gently invites you back to yourself, back to your body, back to meaning. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to accomplish anything grand. The real miracle is recognizing that being here, honestly, is already enough. Awakening doesn't require spectacle. It requires sincerity. It requires presence. It requires your calm but wholehearted yes. And today, that yes has been spoken. Maybe tomorrow you'll forget. Maybe in a few days, the rush will try to carry you away again. That's okay, because what's being planted now won't be lost. It will keep echoing. It will keep opening quiet paths within you, And every time you breathe consciously, even if only for a second, you'll remember, I chose to be here. I chose to live awake. I chose not to waste the gift of another day. So before you move on, feel this moment a little longer. Feel how your body rests right now. How the silence holds you. How life whispers, without pressure, without demands, asking only for your presence. This is the turning point. From today on, even if the world outside remains the same, something has shifted inside. Because you chose to open your eyes differently. Because you didn't ignore the call. Today's mission: awaken.